Today I'm going to be running down the top 10 picks of games from E3 2019. Mind you, these are my personal opinions, and I tried to pick games from every single company, and I tried to have a range of different genres and types of games. Since I had to narrow my choices down to 10, here are my top 10 picks. First we have Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. So this is a new Star Wars game coming out, and this is made by Respawn, which has made the Titanfall series, so I'm sure that is going to be pretty good. So you play as Cal, a really powerful Jedi that can wall run, use the Force, and is really good with the lightsaber. And this whole game is canon to the Star Wars universe, and is set after the Revenge of the Sith. So it's really good to have an actual canon Star Wars game, unlike many of the other Star Wars games. Hopefully this Star Wars game can be an actually good one. This is coming out on November 15th this year on PC and consoles. Next we have The Outer Worlds, in which the studio behind it is from the Fallout New Vegas and Fallout series. Not the originals, not the newer ones. So in The Outer Worlds, you're trying to go to the Halcyon colony, a duo of planets on the edge of the galaxy. And unfortunately your ship got lost on the way, which means you've been in cryosleep for about 70 years. So most of the time you'll be on the two main planets, and one is a little more populated than the other one is more wilder and aggressive. So this is an RPG, and it's not really open world, as you can't freely roam around the planets, but there are a lot of quest lines and side quests that will allow you to explore the planets at your own pace. So I'm really excited for this game because I always like a good RPG, and the graphics looks good, and I would love to explore these worlds that they've created that seem really, really cool. The Outer Worlds will release on October 25th of this year, and it will originally launch in the Epic Store, but it will come to Steam later. Next we have Cyberpunk 2077 from the makers of The Witcher 3, which is, I have to say, one of the best games I've ever played. So this is a first-person RPG set in the future metropolis known as Night City. So this game seems like there's a lot of different quests and stuff that you can do, side quests, main quests. You can have the three main weapons that are melee, high-tech guns, and then there's your Watchdog style scanning and weapons, and then your abilities. Honestly, I think this game is really good, has a lot of potential, and if it's anything as the quality of Witcher 3, I'm in. And it's a very different story, as it does touch on drugs, violence, and social politics of the future metropolis, but nevertheless, I am very down to play as V, which is the main character in Cyberpunk 2077. So this game comes out on April 16th, 2020, and I cannot wait any longer for this. Next is Halo Infinite, which is the newest Halo game. So Halo Infinite is a spiritual reboot for the entire Halo franchise. So this game will try to refocus and get the best parts of the previous Halo games and try to improve upon the other bad parts of the previous games. So the story will focus on Master Chief, so you'll be playing as the big guy himself. And unfortunately in the trailer, we did not get any actual gameplay, only some cinematic stuff. But I imagine the gameplay will be very similar to any other previous Halo game out there. So Halo Infinite will release in 2020 and is going to be on the Xbox Project Scarlet. So the new console will include this game as its main debut game. Next is Watchdogs Legion, which is technically Watch Dogs 3, made by Ubisoft, and it looks really good. So Watch Dogs Legion lets you recruit and play as any NPC in the game. So if you see an NPC that you like, you can recruit them into your organization and eventually control them. And I think each one has unique voice acting and abilities, so you can have a really fun time trying to figure out all the different people that you can be. So there are a few types of characters: infiltrator, enforcer, hacker, and I'm assuming a lot more. So each person has their own special skill set to help you in your missions. So this one showed off a lot of gameplay, and I have to say the gameplay looks really good. Looks like there's a lot of different ways to complete your missions and other kind of quests. So this game does have permadeath, which means if your character dies, there will be no going back to it, and you'll have to become a new person that you recruited. So you have to be very careful in this game, as if you really like a character, you're never going to get them ever again. But if you play the previous Watchdogs games, it seems very similar to the style in Watchdogs 2, with a lot of improvements though. And Watchdogs is releasing on March 6, 2020 for PC, Xbox One, PS4. Next is the Marvel's Avengers, published by Square Enix. So in this game you play as the Marvel Avengers. You can play as Thor, Iron Man, Black Widow, Hulk, and Captain America. And each of these have their own extraordinary abilities that come with each hero. So we saw a little bit of gameplay, a little bit of cinematic, and honestly it looks really good. Each of the heroes have really good abilities, it seems like, to really take on their enemies, and a pretty good story to boot with that. So this story will not be tied to the MCU, so it's a whole separate universe than the Marvel Cinematic one. But even so, it still looks like a great game to really feel the power of each of the Avengers. So this game will release on May 15th, 2020 for PC, PS4, and Xbox One. So the Final Fantasy VII Remake is a very big game for fans of the Final Fantasy series. So Final Fantasy VII launched for the original PlayStation over 2 decades ago, and it is regarded as one of the best JRPGs ever made. So to see a remake of this makes a lot of fans happy. So this is a complete reconstruction of the original game, kind of like the Resident Evil 2 remake, I assume, which kind of revamps the whole look of it, the style, and the gameplay. So if you're a fan of the Final Fantasy series, you're probably definitely excited about this one, as you can play as all your favorite characters from the 7th Final Fantasy game. But the graphics are insane. The fighting style is a really good mix of an action JRPG. But this game will drop on March 3rd, 2020. So Nintendo showed off some gameplay from the Animal Crossing New Horizons, which is a new Animal Crossing game, and it looks really good. So this is set on a deserted island that is owned by the Nook family, and you'll have to buy a plot of land from Tom Nook and build from there. So you can decorate the area around your home, and you can place fences, paths, beds, and more in your living space. And you can actually craft your own furniture in this game, which is unlike any other Animal Crossing games. And New Horizons does allow co-op players, so you can interact with the world with a friend and work together, instead of just sightseeing. Animal Crossing New Horizons looks like a great addition to the series, and Animal Crossing fans should be really excited. But the release date was changed from 2019 to March 20th, 2020, so a little bit later, but definitely worth the wait. So there was a big surprise at E3 when The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 trailer was dropped. I was not expecting anything related to Breath of the Wild at all, but to have a trailer for the second one is really exciting. So it seems like there's like this resurrection of a really long dead warrior, maybe Ganondorf, and it seems like it takes place in the Hyrule Castle, around that castle, kind of the same area as the previous game. And the name Breath of the Wild 2 is not an official name, so it might change from there. But it does seem like this is a direct sequel to Breath of the Wild. It also seems like you can play as Zelda. So this is pretty much a teaser. There's no release date for this game yet, but it brings fans a lot of hype for the next installment. Finally, there's Borderlands 3. So Borderlands 2 is one of the best games of, at least in RPGs, out there. So Borderlands 3 plays a lot like Borderlands 2 and the previous ones. So this is an RPG FPS in which you just shoot your enemies, fight boss fights, and get a lot of loot. And this will include 4-player co-op like Borderlands 2 did, so you can play with your friends and cause even more mayhem. So your base is a spaceship, and you'll have to travel to different planets and explore each of those environments. And when I say loot, there are billions of combinations of weapons that you can get in this game. There's so many different types of weapons, you won't even have time to collect them all. There are even guns that can walk on their own. So Borderlands 3 seems like a really good installment in the Borderlands series, even though we haven't really gotten a Borderlands game in a really long time, since 2012 I believe. But I'm really happy that there is going to be a next one, and it is going to be releasing September 13th of this year on the Epic Store. But if you want it on Steam, you're going to have to wait till April 2020. So these are my top 10 picks from E3. I'm sure many of you have many different opinions of what your top 10 are, but it's just so hard to pick from all these amazing games. So mention what your favorite game from E3 is down below, and thank you guys for watching.